It's all good.
Absolutely.
All right, let's do this.
So here we are at NAB 2023. The second one back since 2019. Last year we were here as well. So we had Digital Anarchy. We're talking to Jim Tierney. And what are we going to talk about first?
Well, we can talk about Data Storyteller first, since that's the thing that's coming out first. Both Data Storyteller and BeautyBox 6 are not released yet. Data Storyteller should be out in about a month and a half, but BeautyBox is a little bit further out, probably about 3 months. So we'll talk about Data Storyteller.
And what's going to be new in BeautyBox? Because that's already pretty darn sophisticated.
Well, we're adding some AI stuff. We're sprinkling AI on it, like everybody else.
Yeah.
We're adding teeth whitening, which is something people have asked for a long, long time.
But not too white, please.
You can adjust it. You can dial it up or down. I mean, it's like BeautyBox now. I mean, like it's automatic-ish.
Gotcha.
And then it's automatic, figures the stuff out, and then you can dial in exactly what the look that you want. Do you want super light? Do you want a little bit heavier? Same with the teeth whitening. You'll be able to dial that up and down. Really, all we're doing using the AI for is figuring out what areas are teeth, so that we can isolate those areas and then allow you to whiten them a little bit or not.
Isn't that amazing what AI can do with stuff like that? To identify teeth? I mean, that's...
Well, the AI part is like finding the teeth, but then, there's still other tools that you have to build on top of it.
Right.
To actually allow the editor to do the whitening.
Right, exactly.
So it's, that's the thing about AI, it's really not just like this magic button. You just go like, all right, AI.
Exactly.
And you have a video, right? It's, on the software side, you got to build a bunch of stuff around it to make it useful. Just by itself, it's potentially useful, but it's really not as automagic as people think it is.
Right.
And then the other thing we're using it for is to help with shine removal. BeautyBox currently has shine removal in there.
Right.
But like many products that deal with shine, it tends to bring down the highlights in the entire image. So we're using AI to isolate it just to the face.
Okay.
And so I have a example of what that looks like, and it makes the shine removal much more useful than the current version. So.
Oh, that's fantastic. And that's going to be out in a few months, you said?
Yeah, that'll be out in a few months. We just got it. It's basically in alpha right now.
Okay.
We've got the tech to where it's working and we know it's viable.
Right.
But we still need to, we need to, put it on the GPU. Right now it's CPU only, so it's super slow. So we've got to, GPUize it. We still have plenty of bugs that we need to sort out. There's a bit of work to do on the BeautyBox side, but the tech is solid.
And that's going to be Apple Silicon native, I presume?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is it now? BeautyBox Apple Silicon native?
Yeah.
Oh, it is.
All of our products are silicon native, metal, all the things. So, yeah, when we develop a product, we develop for Apple and Adobe concurrently, and so when we release any 1.0, it's always going to be for After Effects, Premiere, and Final Cut at the same time.
Okay.
And then we do Resolve and Avid a little bit later.
Okay.
But as a consequence, it's always going to be CUDA and metal native from the get-go, and silicon native and all that stuff.
Now, let's go in the opposite direction. What about Intel? Do you support Intel?
Oh yeah, sure, of course. So we still support like OpenCL and CUDA and like all the older machines that have the NVIDIA and AMD cards.
Okay.
Yeah, of course. There's still a lot of people out there using Intel. Not everybody's shifted to silicon. So.
No, absolutely. I just sold my 2019 Mac Pro.
Yeah, my MacBook Pro, which is over there, and then the iMac we're using, it's all Intel. So
exactly.
We have silicon machines, but we're still mostly on Intel.
So does that pretty much cover the new version of BeautyBox, or is there anything else in there you want to highlight?
The main stuff is the teeth whitening and the shine removal, and using AI to make those better. There'll probably be some other optimizations in terms of like speed and just the masking generally, but
Okay.
the two really cool features about that is just the shine removal and
Those are the toughest things, it sounds
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic. So let's go down in order. Let's talk about flicker-free then.
Sure.
So does that work across all the platforms, all the NLEs?
Yeah, I mean all of our visual effects plugins are for Apple, Adobe, Resolve, Blackmagic, and Avid. So those are the 4 host apps that we support, yeah.
Do you have to make different versions, like for Premiere and Final
Yeah,
Cut?
I mean everything's technically different. Everybody has a different API.
Okay.
But the way we develop, we've been doing this for so long that we have a system where we basically write the plugin and then have an automatic system that spits it out for each individual host app.
Oh, I see.
And you do have to sometimes tweak it for a specific host app that does something a little bit different. But the way we develop is we kind of write the core plugin, and then you just spit it out to the different host apps, and hopefully it just works. Usually it just works, but there's always things you have to tweak for each host app.
So explain people what flicker-free does. It has to do with if you record like with the fluorescent light and there's a frequency.
Yeah, so the reason that we originally developed it is because I shoot a lot of time-lapse videography.
Okay.
And when you're using a still camera, the light meter isn't perfect. So if you have it on a semi-automatic mode, there's a little bit of flicker. So we developed it for that, and it does that great. But we discovered when we released it that cameras being out of sync with LED lights is a thing.
Right.
Which I had no idea when I developed it. It's just like,
right.
like one of our beta testers is like, yeah, you really fixed this like LED light thing. I'm like, oh, that's a problem? Huh.
Yeah.
Turns out it's a huge problem.
Yeah.
And we released it right around the time LED lights were becoming like just everywhere.
Right.
And it was kind of good timing. And so if it's because LED lights have a refresh rate like a computer monitor, and especially when they're dim, they just wreak havoc with the shutter, and you get these rolling bands that happen. And so it does a great job of dealing with those. If you're shooting slow motion, you'll often pick up the fluctuations in the electricity cycle.
Sure.
It's going 60 times a second, but if you slow it down by a factor of 24, you start to see some of those light fluctuations, especially with fluorescent lights. But
right. Now, do the LED lights, does the flicker change frequency, or is it consistent?
it's consistent for that light. I mean, if you change the dimming, how much it's dimmed, it will change.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, and it depends on your shutter speed. Like if you have one shutter speed and you're shooting one LED light, and then you have another shutter speed and shooting a different LED light, it's not going to be the same.
Right. Okay.
But it's usually very consistent throughout the video clip. Because you're just you're shooting the same light, probably shooting at the same shutter speed, you would think, and so it's going to be consistent throughout the clip.
And what do we have here on the screen? What is this?
So this is Data Storyteller. This is the newest product that we're coming out with, and it's a plugin for doing data visualizations. So it allows you to take Excel or CSV files, import those into Final Cut or Premiere in this case, and use it to generate graphics. And so, like in this case,
it generates graphics based on Excel spreadsheets.
So it's kind of like it allows you to do animated charts, and, stuff like that.
Okay.
But all within the video editing app. You don't have to
go outside.
Go out to like Keynote or something and set it up, render it, bring it in. If you need to make a change, you need to go back out to Keynote, back and forth.
Right.
And a lot of stuff is very specific to video. So, one of the things that I find interesting about data viz is, being able to animate across multiple data sets. And so, I mean, this is just an example of, just having the values animate on a global, sphere, right? But where it gets really interesting is if you have like something like this where we have the US map,
Yeah.
and we're showing climate change over time, where I've got the initial data set, but now we're starting to see it change as I feed it other data sets for subsequent years, right? So you might, I'm not sure exactly the years that we have here, but we might be going from like 1950 to 1960 to 1970 to 1980. And you can use this to create data-driven graphics right within FCP. And you know, for folks that are doing corporate work or documentaries or news or whatever, where you have somebody coming with some data files saying, "Hey, how do we make this look good?"
Yes.
You know, we hope it's going to be a useful product for that. You know, as you can see, it has a U.S. map, it has a world map.
Bar graphs.
You can, of course, do bar charts, line charts. And of course, all this can be done over the video. In this case, we're on top of like color mats, but and there's also bubble/scatter charts. So just lots of different ways of animating data sets.
Right.
And finding cool things to do with them. Yeah, so
Now this is in Premiere. How does that work? How does it work in Final Cut?
pretty much the same way. I mean, it's just a filter that you apply, or I guess in FCP it will be a generator.
Okay.
And then you'll apply that to, you know, color mats or video or whatever. And, you know, probably we're going to recommend that you apply it to just a slug or whatever.
Right.
And then use, you know, set the background to transparent if that's what you want. And then you can see the video playing through if you want. I mean, obviously you can resize all this stuff. So if you want to have this like up in the corner while the video is playing, you know, all that would be possible.
That's pretty sophisticated. When's that coming out?
That should be out in about a month and a half.
Month and a half.
Yeah, we're in beta right now. We'll have a public beta pretty shortly.
Okay.
And, you know, just keep an eye on digitalanarchy.com for that.
And you'll have a trial for people?
Yeah, of course, yeah. I mean, we have trials for all our plugins.
Right,
You
exactly.
can download them. They just watermarks it.
Yes.
That's it.
All right, now let's go to transcriptive.
Sure.
Because from the outside, everybody now is coming out with text-based editing, text transcriptions. Adobe came out with it. I think Resolve has a version of it now too and their beta at 8.5 beta. And then there's Whisper AI, which I've downloaded, which does are you using AI for your transcriptive service?
Yeah, so I mean, you know, we came out with transcriptive in 2018. We've had editing with text for, you know, like 3 years at this point.
Okay.
You know, we were early to that, and it's still a great product. It's still a little bit different. I mean, it's Premiere only, so it's not really an FTP thing.
Okay.
And we built it totally integrated into Premiere.
Right.
And, you know, of course now Premiere has their own thing, and, you know, there is differences between them, but it's hard to...
For the normal person to realize...
It's hard to, you know, counter Adobe's messaging around it, so...
Yeah.
You know.
Now, what is the rough cutter? You make a rough cut.
Well, that's the editing with text, right? So you can edit the text, delete portions of it, and then you know, generate a rough cut sequence for that, and you know, where it just combines all the video clips, you know, based on the edits that you made for, you know, either in the text or vice versa. So if you
it goes both ways.
Yeah, so if you make a bunch of edits to your timeline, you can regenerate the transcript based on those edits. Or you can just edit the transcript, delete a bunch of stuff, and it'll, you know, create that into, you know, grab all the relevant portions of the video clips and drop that into your sequence.
Now, does it also do captions, titles, subtitles?
Yeah, I mean, it does. You can kick it out, export it out as captions or subtitles. I mean, the really interesting thing about transcriptive is the ability to search everything that you've had transcribed. And you can use AI, you can also import text files, and we'll sync those up to the audio.
Is that right?
Yeah, so if you have like an older transcript that you got from human service a while back, you can save that as a text file, bring that into transcriptive, we'll sync the audio up. That way you don't have to do any of that.
Right. Were you surprised about Adobe coming out with that? Was it?
I mean, like, we knew it was coming. I mean,
Oh, okay. I was curious.
I mean,
What are you going to do?
what are you going to do?
What are you going to do? All right, well, now let's talk about Samurai Sharpen.
Yep.
So is that across all the NLEs?
Yeah, that's across everything. It's just basically sharpening filter designed for video. So you just have a lot of control over like exactly what gets sharpened, whether it's in the shadows, whether it's in the highlights, whether it's just in the mid-range. Just basically selective, smart sharpening.
Smart sharpening, because the regular sharpen filters are very unattractive.
Yeah,
you know what I
right.
mean? You'd have a sharpening. Yeah.
Well, this gives you a lot of control over exactly how the sharpening happens, which is important for video because you can pretty easily sharpen stuff that shouldn't be sharpened.
Right.
And that's really the trick with it. So it's not AI based. It's just an old-fashioned, old-school algorithmic sharpen. But we give you there's a lot of masking built into it, so that you can again control exactly where that sharpening is happening.
I see. Now, is the masking, is that done by hand?
No, so that's automatic. That's actually using some of the technology out of BeautyBox.
Okay.
So we kind of repurposed it for Samurai, and it's just a cool sharpening plugin to kind of. I mean, it's not going to save totally like out of focus footage, but if it's something that's like a little bit out of focus, it's a nice way of kind of like bringing back a little bit of that.
Right. And then we have power search.
Well, that's the other half of transcriptive, right? So.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, so that's the search portion of transcriptive.
Oh, that's a search portion.
Yeah.
And that's for Premiere only?
Yeah, that's a Premiere only thing.
Because they have search built in, right? But this is different somehow?
It's better than what they're doing. Actually, I mean, I haven't checked it out. I haven't seen the latest beta,
Right.
so I'm not sure if they've improved it or not. But the search functionality within Premiere kind of sucks, and I don't know if it's gotten better in the last version. But this just allows you to search all the sequences, all your clips, basically anything with a transcript.
Really?
You can search through it. Yeah.
So you can search like the name of the clip and stuff?
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, that's pretty much the lineup for Digital Anarchy. So.
And then after you get this next version, you can take a break, right?
No. That never happens.
Never happened?
It's always on to like coming up with new ideas and doing new things. And
anything else that you haven't shown us yet that's coming up?
that's pretty much it.
That's it. And what's your booth number so I can tell people to come out here?
It's North Hall 1316.
1360.
We are right next to Avid.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. All right, Richard. Thank you, man.
Thank
Appreciate
you very
it.
much. Appreciate it.
All right.